was frozen. Emily stood with the photograph in her hand, her pulse pounding in her ears. Beatrice's words hung in the air. She's your sister, and she's been in this company all along. Charles Carrington lay unconscious on the carpet, the board members buzzing like angry bees. Emily's eyes locked on the little girl in the photo, the one sitting beside her toddler self. "Who is she?" Emily demanded. Beatrice's cold smile deepened. "Her name is Alexandra Carrington, the true heir to this empire." The board members exchanged glances. They all knew that name. Alexandra wasn't just an employee. She was the youngest VP in the company's history. Ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. And Emily had never met her. The heavy oak doors creaked open. A tall woman in a charcoal power suit stepped inside, heels echoing like a metronome. Alexandra Carrington, sharp cheekbones, piercing blue eyes, a presence that silenced the room. She didn't look at her father. She didn't look at Beatrice. She looked straight at Emily. "So, you're the maid's kid?" Alexandra said, voice like ice. Emily's chest tightened. "Half-sister," she corrected. Alexandra's eyebrow twitched. "Half-sister, full mistake." The boardroom murmured. Beatrice stepped closer to Alexandra, resting a hand on her shoulder like a queen presenting her heir. "This is the woman who's been protecting the Carrington name while you were folding laundry. She's the future. You're an inconvenient past." Emily could have walked out. She could have taken the DNA test, the letter, and gone to the press. But she didn't. Instead, she stepped closer to her sister, voice steady. "If I'm such a mistake, prove it. Let's see who can actually run this empire." Gasps filled the room. Alexandra smirked. "You want to challenge me? You don't even know the first thing about business." "Maybe not," Emily shot back. "But I know the truth, and the truth scares you." Beatrice laughed, a sharp, condescending sound. "If you want to humiliate yourself, fine. In 2 weeks, we have the Carrington Charity Gala. Every investor, politician, and CEO will be there. Win over half of them, and I'll consider letting you into the family." "And if I lose?" Emily asked. Beatrice's eyes glittered. "You disappear. Forever." The next 2 weeks were chaos. Emily knew nothing about running a billion-dollar empire, but she knew how to work. By day, she shadowed the company's operations, reading annual reports until her eyes burned. By night, she met with an old ally from high school, Jake Ramirez, a tech genius who once dreamed of building a startup before life knocked him down. "You're not just learning their business," Jake said one night over takeout. "You're learning their weaknesses." Emily smirked. "Exactly." Meanwhile, whispers spread through the Carrington offices. Some employees resented Alexandra's iron rule and were curious about the maid's daughter who dared to stand up to her. One, an older accountant named Linda Hayes, quietly slipped Emily a file late one evening. Inside, records of offshore accounts, huge sums, all tied to Alexandra's name. 3 nights before the gala, Emily found Alexandra alone in her glass-walled office, staring at the city lights. "You've been stealing from the company," Emily said, tossing the file onto her desk. Alexandra didn't flinch. She glanced at the papers, then back at Emily. "That's called strategy, sweetheart. I move money before anyone else knows it's missing. Keeps the board in my debt." Emily leaned in. "It's called fraud." Alexandra smiled faintly. "And if you expose me, you'll go down with me, because guess whose name I used to open one of those accounts?" Emily's stomach dropped. The Carrington Charity Gala was held in the glass atrium of Charlotte's tallest skyscraper. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, Dresses worth more than Emily's entire apartment building. She arrived in a simple emerald green gown Maria had sewn by hand, her hair swept into a low chignon. She looked like she belonged, even if she didn't feel it. Alexandra worked the room like a seasoned politician, shaking hands, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. Beatrice watched her like a hawk, every move calculated. Emily had one shot. She mingled. She listened. She whispered carefully chosen truths into the ears of investors. About integrity, about legacy, about the rot that grew when power went unchecked. Midway through the night, Emily slipped a small flash drive to the chairman of the board. Inside, proof of Alexandra's offshore accounts, and proof that one of them had been opened under Emily's name without her knowledge. She didn't just expose Alexandra. She showed how close she'd come to being framed. The chairman's eyes narrowed. You realize this could destroy the company's public image? Emily's voice didn't waver. Not if we clean house, starting tonight. Beatrice tapped her champagne glass for silence. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce. Actually, the chairman interrupted. We have an announcement of our own. Gasps rippled as Alexandra was called to the stage and confronted with the evidence. Her face remained unreadable. You think you've won, little sister, she said quietly to Emily. But this isn't checkmate. She dropped the mic, literally, and walked out, the cameras flashing like lightning. The board voted unanimously to suspend Alexandra pending investigation. Charles, pale but conscious, pulled Emily aside. I don't deserve a daughter like you, he said, eyes wet. Emily's throat tightened. You don't get to decide what I deserve anymore. I do. From the shadows, Beatrice watched, her expression unreadable. She had lost this round, but Emily knew she wasn't done. That night, Emily returned home to find an envelope taped to her door. Inside, a single Polaroid. It was her, as a toddler, sitting on the lap of a man she didn't recognize. On the back, scrawled in messy handwriting, "Your father isn't the only one with secrets." Emily's hands shook, because the man in the photo was wearing the same signet ring that now belonged to the most powerful politician in the state. Emily stood frozen in her apartment doorway, staring at the Polaroid. The man in the photo wasn't Charles Carrington. It was Senator William Hargrove, the most powerful politician in North Carolina, and a man known for his perfect family image. Her fingers trembled as she traced the outline of the gold signet ring on his hand. The same ring he still wore in every televised speech. Why was he holding her as a baby? Emily marched into the kitchen, dropping the photo in front of Maria. Tell me everything. Maria's voice was quiet. Before I worked for the Carringtons, I worked for Senator Hargrove's family. One night, there was a party. He'd been drinking. He insisted on taking a photo with me and the baby I was carrying. You. But you weren't his. You were already mine and Charles's. Emily frowned. Then why would Beatrice send me this? Maria's eyes darkened. Because she wants you to think you don't know your own story. She's playing with your mind, Emily. It's what she does best. Emily couldn't let it go. She arranged a meeting with Senator Hargrove under the guise of supporting his re-election campaign. When she slid the Polaroid across the table, his polite smile faltered. She sent you this, didn't she? He said quietly. Beatrice wants you distracted, wants you chasing shadows instead of her crimes. Emily's heartbeat quickened. So you're saying she's hiding something bigger? The senator nodded. Something that could take her down for good. And if you're brave enough, I'll give you what you need. The senator handed Emily a sealed envelope. Inside were copies of bank transfers, legal threats, and letters proving Beatrice had laundered money through charitable foundations for decades. "She's untouchable in public," the senator said. "But behind closed doors, she's vulnerable. You can end this if you're willing to burn everything she's built." Emily clenched the papers. "I'm ready." That night, Emily walked into the Carrington estate uninvited. Charles sat in the study, looking weary but alert. Alexandra leaned against the wall, arms crossed, her eyes unreadable. Beatrice descended the stairs in a silk gown, her expression smug. Back for another lesson in power? Emily dropped the folder of evidence onto the coffee table. "No, I'm here to give you one." Charles picked up the papers. His face fell as he read them. "Tell me this isn't true," he said. Beatrice's mask cracked. "You wouldn't have this empire without me. I kept us afloat. I controlled the scandals. I protected you." Emily's voice was calm, but sharp. "You didn't protect anyone. You just made sure you were the only one who could destroy this family." Within hours, the evidence was in the hands of the board, the press, and the authorities. Beatrice Carrington's resignation hit the morning headlines like a thunderclap. Her assets were frozen, her reputation gone. Alexandra, stripped of her position, left quietly. No threats, no promises, just a cold look that said they'd never truly be sisters. Charles stepped down from the company, issuing a single statement: "The truth matters more than the name on the building." Emily didn't take over the company. She didn't want the throne Beatrice had poisoned. Instead, she created a foundation in her mother's name to help women like Maria, who'd spent their lives in the shadows of the powerful. On the opening day, Maria stood beside her, tears in her eyes. "You've done something no Carrington ever could," she said. "You chose the truth over the empire." Months later, Emily walked past the Carrington skyscraper. The gold letters still gleamed in the sun, but they no longer meant power to her. She paused, looking up at the glass tower, then kept walking. Her own life, finally her own. Emily Carter came into the Carrington world with nothing but a wallet and a question. She left with her name, her truth, and her freedom. Because in the end, the greatest fortune isn't the one you inherit, it's the one you build yourself. If you like the story of Emily, please support us by like, comment, and subscribe. Your support makes us help to create great story. Thank you. See you in the next video.